conference is no exception. So we are coming to the last leg of this day conference, and that is valedictory. And I know you have made all the people here, and let me, because this Manjeev Puri, I don't have to repeat because he has been introduced. Dr. Wagle has also been introduced. Maybe Baral Saab has not been fully introduced, so I will. He has been introduced. He has been introduced. Okay, then I don't have to repeat. So straightway, floor is yours. So I will request Manjeev Puri, Ambassador Manjeev Puri, to start the valedictory proceeding. Over to you.
Avichandasti, thank you very much. You know, friends, I know that I'm standing between you and tea or going home or whatever else the Nepal embassy's reception. But I want to say something, and you know, Charan Singh is not here, so I'm going to wait till he comes, but let me start saying something. You know, I spent 3 years in Nepal, and since then, 5 years I've been here in Delhi. In this very room, we have had up-teen Nepal-India discussions. These discussions, rightly, are dominated by people like us who have served there, who have relationships, etc. In the morning when I mentioned this, I could find nobody other than our friends from Nepal and Professor Mahendra Lama here. I'm delighted to see Professor S.D. Muni here. Because this is a room, essentially, which we filled with people in India who have domain expertise in that thing. Now, Professor Baral, this is not to understate or undercut what you said, the dominance of politics. We all understand this. We are all in the real world. Many of us have white hair and so on and so forth. But the fact is, we also need domain expertise. And I was just telling Dr. Arvind Panagria, you know how this program came together. So Achyut Wagle was a friend of mine, came to Delhi about 2 years back and called me, and I said, let's have lunch. And we met at the India International Center. In the table next to us was Professor Charan Singh. And I thought, this is great. I should introduce them. Since then, Egrow has kind of adopted him, or he has adopted them, and I'm very delighted. But it was also the turn of doing something like this. Getting good people in India who have domain expertise. We just had the chairman of the Finance Commission. We earlier had the previous chairman of the Finance Commission, plus somebody who has head the G20's expert group on MDB's reform. People who have expertise in trade, global trade. It's not that India and Nepal is not about the world. It's also about the world. These are nation states, and how they act is also dependent on rules which are set in the world. Roti Beti is important. It has one particular set of connotations. But there are the other aspects of a nation state which are also important. All of these got put together, and this is particularly good. I must therefore say, although I participated in a previous session, the last one that was held was particularly important and really very well done. Thank you, Professor Saab. You were there, and some of your colleagues there. Professor Panagria is not here. And I just told him that, look, Nepal never had states or federal units or whatever, provinces, whatever you may call it. Happened for the first time. We started off with this. An understanding of how it actually works, not just the politics of it. How do these devolutions happen? How do financial devolutions happen? You can say, what is the problem? मैं बैठा हुआ हूं, मैं बांट दूंगा आपका ऐसा वैसा. नहीं यार. You know, we are in a world which is much more sophisticated in how these things happen. What a good idea that we had this discussion. I must tell you from my own experience that no matter the politics, in the end, in terms of those who have to do things, India is invariably the template which they search out. I have seen this in every sphere. You want to talk about, Sushil Bhattaji was talking about PPP. Let me tell you, his models are no different than what we used to do to start with, and they will improve in exactly the same way as we do. They may or may not acknowledge it. They may say that this knowledge has come to them via the World Bank or the IMF, who instead brings you and me to the table out there. Now that's, what can I say? That's the nature of our politics and the way we put this together. But because of the nature of the two economies, the two societies, and the close interbundling, these things naturally flow that way. The number of their officials after joining the civil services including engineering department, medical, who come to India, join courses, do actually PhDs, is unbelievable, much better as a ratio than the Indian civil services produce. Let me assure you of that. You know, we are a natural point where people pick up the skill sets, the capacities, etc. They may not attribute it to you, they may not, but how come everything happens to be mirroring? There has to be something that people understand in themselves. And that's why I think this was particularly important. Professor Charan Singh, don't mind my saying so. I'm just going to speak for a few minutes because I know this event has to end. May I request you and Dr. Achyut Wagle to stand up? Guys, please give them a huge round of applause. You know, you have got your boxes. I know that. That's great. But I want to just say this. You know, putting an idea in somebody's mind is one thing. It's another thing to actually get it done. And this isn't easy, especially given us and the fact that we know each other too well. We know each other too well in terms of, I know you are a friend of mine, my, wife's best friend was your best friend, and so on and so forth. No, 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 no. Try to put this together in a professional manner. It isn't easy, and it takes a lot of doing. India is also a place where we commit to a lot, but when it comes to delivery, many things, especially with those who are connected with governmental institutions, including academia, cannot really move on their own. Our bureaucracy is not just socialist, it's two arms length also. Not that Nepal is any different. That's the nature of it. And therefore, the kind of effort the two of them and their teams have put together is absolutely tremendous and needed. Several rounds of applause, but thank you very much that you all stood up. I hope we'll be able to carry this forward. There may be an annual exercise or whatever it is, because let me leave this thought again with you. It's very good that we have a bit of a holistic and cross-sectional but domain expertise get together. Now, one thing, how to do archaeological renovations. Yes, they have lots of domain expertise of that. How do you do, heart surgery? There would be some chat. But this is on a policy level, governmental policies, the cross-section in a sense of the flag and the trade. But how do you bring together those who have domain expertise? Can we learn from each other? Can we understand? Sushil Bhattaji was very rightly, talking in terms of hoping that Nepal is on the anvil of things. Sushilji, I can only say, I wish and hope, and why should I not want it? Because you do well, I will be the greatest beneficiary of them, as Professor Saab mentioned out here, without any doubt. But somewhere along the line, we need to do something else. And this is after 70 years, and I know it's not easy. I know it's very difficult, and coming from me, you'll say, laugh about it because this chap was there and he's no longer there right now. Which is to put the politics in our front pocket and then start doing dhanda. People do it, but we need to do it even more institutionally, because that's the nature of it. This genie of globalization is out of the bottle, as far as we are concerned. Mr. Trump and the Europeans can have their own battles. That's a different level at which integration is already there, and we need to work on that. So I want to say nothing more than that. I'm so glad we put this together. Professor Charan Singh, to you, and of course to Achyut, to you. Please try and put together some of the elements of what came out together in a publication, online, whatever way you wish to. It's one thing for you to share it with our authorities in India and Nepal. Another thing, please bring it out to the notice of the people at large. You'd be amazed at the interest that people have in general. And we need to make them focused on opportunities. Divergences are always a plenty. They are also distractions. But we need to do that all the time, but devote five hours of the day also to convergences. And that's the important element of it. So I leave this thought with you. I won't speak more than this. I want to say thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And thank you very much for realizing what I wanted to say was a dream in a sense. I wanted to see domain expertise brought together, especially in the area of policies, of economics, because it intersects with almost every other element. And can we take this forward? We are poised for a big win. You heard Arvind Virmani. I don't want to comment on those, but let's say there's no doubt we're poised for a big win. I personally believe that our neighborhood should also be poised for that. And at the end of it, it'll be a win-win, to use the words of Professor Maiti there. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Achyut. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Egrow. Thank you to the Kathmandu University. Professor Saab, delighted that you were here. One of my gurus in terms of everything one here, but thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. I'm really mesmerized by the way you speak and you raise the bar, in fact, and that is all I could say. So, may I now request Dr. Achyut Wagle to deliver the valedictory address.
It is barely anything Ambassador Puri speaks in the theme. One thing he made us to stand up, and I would like him to stand up as a sutradhar. My poor English has never found equivalent translation in English, but he has been a sutradhar to this. I elaborated in the morning, even before we met there, our concerns to solve for the country. Now, without going into details, just let me take advantage of being in the hall throughout. I will just pick a few words, not probably naming the names always. One very repeatedly came about the openness, the necessity of openness, be that of market, be that of flow of people across the border, be that flow of resources. So be that flow of finances across the border through the digital platform. So one key word, key takeaway would be probably openness, I think, because I'm trying to be very brief. Second is reform. Nepal and India started economic reform at the same time in 1991 and 1992, respectively. One phrase I would like to borrow from Professor Charan is the paralysis of reform that had. In Nepal, we had a 10-year-long insurgency that caused paralysis in reform. Otherwise, we had a fantastic growth story. At least the 7 sectors, huge private sector investment that has sustained Nepali economy. That includes hydropower, banking, tourism, education, health, private sector investment, public transportation, aviation. 10 major sectors, you can say. There is barely the public investment, but these are the sectors functioning well because it was the outcome of reform. But it got paralyzed, and the continuity of policy got disrupted, which was being raised. Now, one issue raised by have we actually departed from the concept of mixed economy? I think as a practicing economist, it is always very difficult to be in either North Pole of the completely communist or socialist economy or the South Pole of the totally free market economy. Somewhere, depending on the varied degree, we bound to live with a mixed economy. One of the things is how do we manage with that the policies and institution. When it comes to institution, the convergence, the transformation of National Planning Commission of India and Niti Aayog came very prominently, and it's changing role. I personally have been writing it since 2001, not 2010, that why we don't need the central planning. That was part of the reform process. I have been greatly mesmerized by 2 books by Montek Singh Ahluwalia and N.K. Singh, who addressed, and then I could read all the struggles India went through in managing reform, in continuing the momentum. I think for everybody, these books are Bibles for reform. I think at least for this subcontinent. When Manmohan Singh was there, where P.V. Narasimha Rao was there, and then the Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who came very much with a liberal idea. It was for the first time in Indian history, the Minister for Divestment was appointed, I guess. That's very, very big institutional change. If I name the names from Nepal, nobody would remember, so I don't like to. Third point, I would like to say, we have talked about a lot of circus, Ram Circuit, Buddha Circus, Shiva Circus, the new concept with the 12 conservation parks, a conservation circuit, even adventure circuit in tourism is fine. I have a question to all of you. What is most loyal in this world? You may say spouse or a well-kept dog. No, it is money. If you kept it well, invested it well, it is the most loyal thing to happen. So let countries fight. We have in history, France and Germany fought from the two different opposite front lines in the Second World War, but their people continued to trade. Even today, we realize the competition, geopolitical competition we often talk about between India and China. Look at the trade figures. It has passed, it was $136 billion of trade between India and China last year. This year it has come down, but it is within the range of $100 billion. US and China, oh, what happens? Such a big competition, trade wars we see. But look at the volume. There are people, there are traders, there are private entrepreneurs who have believed in the loyalty of money. So at the same time, it is also the kind of diplomacy, economic diplomacy, we may talk it, because of the very closeness of our neighbors. We have taken it for granted. The second track economic diplomacy is needed. That is, I think it should be the good beginning, even if we would like to talk about the bit of a geopolitics in this subcontinent. Of course, I don't want to go into the thematic areas of digitization. It is a big challenge. We have talked about poverty in monetary terms. When the world transforms into when it transitions into the digital economy, we'll have a great level of digital poverty and lack of digital democracy. Please mind it. And the same applies with the climate democracy. And I have it is my fourth such emphatic saying in this level of talk. Stop hoping anything from the countries that are not ready to sacrifice their even a single point of luxury in any terms. I give an example. 1 million aircrafts have already been ordered to be delivered by 2036. They will be operation up to 2060 at least. Those all will be operated by the fossil fuel. And those aeroplanes would hardly be touched even by the 10% of the population of the developing country. So what we are talking about, not talking about the data. So let's get into the data. We are not getting into the war economics. So let's not be illusioned by the terms like carbon trade, sustainable development, green vehicles. How green are the battery operated vehicles? We are excavating new minerals, lithium, uranium, and whatnot. Tungsten, the smelting, the energy required to smelt them is not possible with the green energy. So let's be thinking in the next step what we are talking, if we are talking something substantial. That is about the climate. And then the climate resilient development is there. One very interesting word came about in the morning with Birman is the bureaucratic socialism. Okay. Bureaucratic socialism, it is, I thought it's echoed as federal socialism in the book of Thomas Piketty, who he wrote about the capital and ideology. I think I'd let's club it with the federal discussion. One very interesting idea that came about at the growth convergence of India and China by 2050 in Birmani's presentation, that was very interesting. Finally, we together should be able to contribute on evidence-based diplomacy, evidence-based policy planning, and evidence-based economic cooperation in future instead of guiding by the hearsay, rumors, euphemisms, and apprehensions. Thank you. And Kathmandu University is ready to take this process forward. Thank you, Ambassador Puri, Charan Singh, all the presenters. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Wagle, and I think let me take the liberty from the chairman to say a few words, because there are many people in this room who have contributed immensely to the success and organization of this particular conference, and they have not spoken, but their contribution is no less than many others. And in UP, which is close to Nepal, there is a very popular saying, नींव के पत्थर दिखाई कम देते हैं लेकिन इमारत उन्हीं से बुलंद है. So मैं उन्हीं नींव के पत्थरों को थोड़ा बुलाना चाहता हूं, and I will request ambassador and the chairman to distribute as a token of our appreciation to them. First, I will call Professor Shalini Sharma. Yes, please come that side. Ladies first, and then quickly, please ready, Mr. Sujit Dungal, then Dr. Dinesh Kafle,
Thank you.
yes,
Sujit, yeah. Linesh,
then Hemanta Joshi, Gaurav Vijay Raj, Yagna
Yegya.
Yegya.
Well, lovely to see all your good people here.
Vijay, yeah.
So, the, thank you very much, and maybe the last few word by the chairman, Dr. Lokraj.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to chair the last session, so-called valedictory sessions. Because I have been listening throughout the day, very exciting speeches and presentations made by different speakers. Particularly, they were very energetic when I was listening to the last speaker, Ambassador Puri, then Professor Wagle, very exciting and energetic kind of presentations. I have nothing to add because everything has been told. A lot. It is useless to talk everything, at a time. We have to wait for other time also for giving more thoughts. But time and context, I always repeat this thing. Time and context is very important. What time and what context? When you were not talking about socialism, etc., mixed economy since 1947. There was a time in 1991 when Manmohan Singh and Narasimha Rao actually introduced the reforms. The time was there. Then, of course, the context was different. Similarly, I think few areas had not been touched in the program. Today's discussions. Number one, the governance problem. Governance must be related to development. What will be the size of the government? What are the crises of governance? That is also very important area. Then I think that we are talking about the experts. I don't find any Indian university these days to create new generation of experts. JNU, of course, South Asian study professors, when leaving, Professor Muni has already left the university. Now Mahendra Lama is also on the way. I think who else of that stature who have come up? And it needs that the institutions should try to create new generation of experts, even in Nepal and India. In Kathmandu University, I am always trying to say, I pressurize them to, why don't you have the expert, new generation of people for more training, education, etc. For taking up these challenges, new challenges. We are talking about, we are giving lectures. That is a very important aspect. We should not try to ignore this. Of course, the areas of cooperation we have already covered. From my point of view, for Nepal-India relations, there are three, four aspects which are very crucial. Agriculture is a very important area. Then tourism, naturally, tourism is very potential. And the manpower development, that is the new generation of exports. Then hydropower. These are the crucial areas on which we can cooperate. These are of course, there are so many other areas we can include in it, but it is not the time to do it. Let's not host the next time. We'll be discussing thoroughly on this particular area which are slightly left out today. Thank you very much.
So the time is short, so I will also be short, in short. So let me first of all say my thanks to the chief guest, Dr. Arju Rana, who who was present and graced this occasion. And then we also want to thank Dr. Birmani, who is guest of honor, and for his presence and also for his excellent lecture on Viksit Bharat. Then special note of appreciation goes to the chairs of various panel sessions, Mr. N.K. Singh, Rakesh Mohan Joshi, Arvind Singh, Arvind Pangaria, Lokraj Baral, for their leadership in steering the sessions. And also special thanks to the panelists who participated in all the sessions. Then to all delegates and participants who participated here. Then special thanks to Dr. Manjeev Puri, Dr. Achyut Wagle, and Dr. Charan Singh, who conceptualized this conference and made it happen. And this conference is also sponsored by Punjab National Bank and LIC, so special thanks to them also. Finally, I extend my gratitude to the organizing team of the Egrow Foundation and the Kathmandu University. Egrow team, Dr. Shalini, just we have honored her. Then from the Kathmandu University, Sujit and Dinesh and the team. Then let us take forward the ideas and connection posed here to strengthen the relationship between India and Nepal to achieve greater milestone in future in mutual cooperation and progress. Thank you. I wish you all a safe journey home. Thank you very much.